Picture a 12th century king, nominally ruling a vast kingdom. He has never seen most of it. When he sends a tax collector to a village 3 days' ride away, he has no way of knowing whether the man collected what was owed. When he needs to raise an army, he sends word to intermediaries whose loyalties he cannot fully verify. His kingdom exists for him as a rumor. The political scientist James Scott spent much of his career studying what governments did about this. His answer: they built an apparatus of sight, censuses, surnames, and maps. These tools might look administrative, but were political in their very core. Every choice of what to record and what to leave out was a choice about what mattered, and every document was an argument already being made. Board games work exactly the same way. Every map is a flattening. That's not a flaw. It is the only way a map can exist. You choose what stays and what goes. That choice is the argument. War games flatten along a very specific axis, the axis of growth. Captured lands yield forever, armies appear from the territory, the entire cost of conquest is removed, leaving only the logic of expansion. More is always better, and there is no natural limit. But the deeper flattening is the victory condition. You cannot win risk by striking a peace. The game has no such ending. Diplomacy isn't just absent from the mechanics, it's foreclosed as a part to victory. The war is already happening when you sit down, and it ends only when someone holds everything. This isn't unique to Risk. JMT's detailed simulations, Twilight Struggle, Here I Stand, all begin after diplomacy has ended. The genre's founding premise is that the war is already underway. Who started it, whether it could have been avoided, how it might end without a winner, none of that is on the board. It was designed out. That's the mythology of inevitable conflict. But there are some games fighting back against this myth. The seventh continent puts you on uncharted lands that cursed you on your first visit. You're going back, the map doesn't exist. You draw terrain cards and place them as you walk, one tile at a time. The continent builds only where you go. Every action costs cards from a deck that is simultaneously your stamina and your life. You decide how many to commit before you draw. When the deck empties, the curse resets. What a war game hands you before the first move, the complete picture, the commander's view, the world made fully legible. This game withholds permanently. The only map that matters here is the one you built through dying, and it lives entirely in your head. If the seventh continent attacks myth, there's another one that rejects it entirely. Castles of the Mad King Ludwig is a tile-laying game where you build a castle room by room to satisfy a peculiar Bavarian king. His tastes are specific, extravagant, and shift every game. The king's favors, revealed at the start, change what he values this session versus the last. Other players are building for the same king, so you're not just asking what he wants, you're asking what he wants that nobody else has figured out yet. Most games give you no reason to understand the other side. You win by defeating your opponents. Here, the other side is the only thing worth understanding. This, in my opinion, is a rejection of the military-industrial logic of many games. The map forces you to care about the internal logic of a person rather than the external logic of an army at war. Here's the thing about maps. If the map is all you see, the map is all you think with. The decisions you make, the solutions you reach for, all your possibilities are bound by what the map shows and what it doesn't. In a game where conquest is the only path to victory, you will never think of diplomacy. Not because you're incapable of it, but because the board has no square for it. The map has already decided that diplomacy is not a move, so it will never feel like one. You will sit there staring at the same territory everyone else is staring at, and the only question that will arise is, how do I take more of it? This is not just true of games. Look at the maps being handed to you. The metrics your work is measured by, the KPIs on your dashboard, the way your city is zoned, the way a news cycle is framed, the language in which a political problem gets discussed. Each one is a flattening. Each one a decision made by someone about what counts and what disappears. Each one quietly shaping the solutions that will occur to you as possible. The war game tells you that conflict is inevitable, so you prepare for conflict. You build walls, you hedge, you arm, and then somewhere down the line, the conflict arrives, and you will call it human nature, and you will not ask, what map were you handed at the very start? The most powerful maps are the ones you forget are maps, the ones that feel like reality, the ones you have been playing on for so long that the edges have entirely disappeared, and you cannot see the frame, and the question of who drew it and why never arises. Those are maps worth looking at. Every map has its own presuppositions and every map has its own victory conditions, but not all victories are true and not all victories are zero-sum.